20 ways spouses changed after marriage, according to Reddit. In the interest of clarity, the question being asked here is, Redditors who realize their spouse is a completely different person after marriage, were there any red flags that you ignored while dating? If so, what were they? A comically long question. What a fucking mouthful. Number 20. I had an opposite experience. She showed green flags after marriage. Prior to the marriage, she was a very meek person with anyone other than me. Her parents were very strict, so even as an adult, she was too afraid to tell them that we were even engaged. What they said went, even though we were living together as roommates. More than once, she called their house to let them know she was going out, as if she wasn't allowed to otherwise. There were issues with a few friends that clashed with me. They were pretty toxic, and I don't placate, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the type of behavior. So I'm not always well received. Doesn't bother me. And I saw her comforting people who were treating her poorly after we clashed over it more than once. She's a bleeding heart and couldn't stand to see people upset, even when the upset was caused by their own misdeeds. I felt like she didn't always have my back, but I never thought it was something I needed, and I would always have hers. She let people walk all over her, while I'm the first person to put my foot down. In that aspect, we were the most different. Before marriage, she also had a huge amount of medical issues, and I was more than willing to accept a life of working to keep her alive and supporting her as a stay-at-home wife when she got too sick. Then we got married, and she changed. I think she finally saw us as a package deal. While my girlfriend was meek and weak, my wife became outspoken, not only socially but politically. She started calling me on my shit, something I appreciate greatly. I like learning about things that I can work on, but would absolutely slay people who weren't treating us well. We ended a lot of friendships that weren't healthy and were stringing along because of her bleeding heart after the wedding. It was like she was a phoenix rising from the ashes of shit friends. She is still medically frail, but I think she sees a future to fight for now. The fact that I make more than her isn't just a fact now, it's a challenge. She wants to be the breadwinner so that I can quit my job and go back to my career in art. I did great, but the market was so unpredictable. I needed to leave my dream for stability. She is still beautiful, caring, gentle. But since being married, that caring aspect includes caring for herself. She doesn't let anyone dictate her life, especially her parents, and because of that, she has a healthier relationships with everyone, including me. I would also like to state that once she knew she locked me down, she opened her own kink floodgates, and sex has never been the same. We do things to each other that most churches won't even preach against in sermons because they're ashamed to discuss the acts. That ring and those vows somehow told her she was worthy of self-respect and self-expression. I love her. This one warms my heart, and I'm fantastically fascinated that this is the first one on this list. What's one of the unfortunate things in life that I come across so often are women that don't respect themselves. And if they don't respect themselves, how can any other people? They get used as a doormat, and the worst part is that their hearts are in the right place. They want to please, they want to make people happy, they want to do what they can to enhance and enrich the lives of other people, but they gotta understand, and if this is you listening, you have to understand that doesn't come at the sacrifice of your own well-being. You need to put yourself first, and you can't extend yourself for people who aren't willing to do that same thing for you. I'm not saying don't bend over backwards for people. You know what I mean? If you're that kind of kind, sweet, genuine, full-hearted person that's willing to be constantly giving, fine, but choose the person that would at least do that halfway for you, as opposed to somebody who's only looking to receive from you. Because, it may seem like a complimentary relationship, someone who only wants to get while you only want to give, but it's better when two people are bending over for each other than, just one. Take it from me. 19. Yeah, she was really worried about some of my female friends stealing me away from her to the point of allowing me to interact with them. It's not that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust her. Yeah, she cheated on me. Oh my God. Marriage. Scary. Okay. 20 ways spouses changed after the marriage. Number 18. She cheated to be with me. No one ever listens, do they? People need to make their mistakes, it seems. As it begins, so it ends, always. She cheated to be with you. You married her and then she cheated, dude. That's how it started. Somebody else goes on to say the same thing. My ex cheated on his wife with me, then cheated on me. I should have seen it coming. Well, number 17. Not different, the same. I love my husband immensely. While dating, he was late to things. It wasn't in his mind to consider everyone else's point of view. I am a child of an alcoholic, so I overconsider. That balance has been good for me. That being said, I wish he would fucking show up on time. If it's his event for family or a hobby, he is early. My family or hobby, he drags his fucking feet. I hate it, and it's so rude and obnoxious. 23 fucking years of it. He is not changing. I have adapted, but it still pisses me off. But I put it in perspective. I am no joy either. I bet. I'm glad that you guys are making it work. That sounds interesting. You know, she didn't let it go crazy or decide to fuck him over in some way because of this shit. Number 16. Husband changed completely after we got married, which was a shock since we had lived together for 7 years prior. He's bipolar and an addict, but we were controlling it very well. Just after we got married, he stopped his meds and started doing every substance he could get his hands on. Within a few months, he lost his company and hasn't worked since, preferring to get high and drunk and land in hospitals with psychosis very frequently. The red flags were there: serious mental illness, past addiction, dangerous behavior. But they were under control. I was naive to think that because they were under control and they would always be under control. Not true. Since we have been married, it has been hell, and now I'm stuck. Take these things seriously, folks. While living best case scenario, keep in mind worst case scenario. Don't go in with stars in your eyes and hearts full of hope. Unless you're talking about Kyle, in which case you guys just better fill them eyes with stars. You know what I'm talking about? I'm here for you, baby. I love you forever. Mm-hmm. Number 15. Damn, this is a long one. Damn, motherfucker, damn. Why are you putting the edit at the top, bitch? Anyway, number 15. It's late in the game, but maybe this will help someone. He was a chameleon. We dated all through college and he seemed like a great guy. We had an awesome group of friends, the same interests, his family was amazing. In 4 years, we never had an argument. I thought our communication was perfect. He could be a little jealous, but it seemed endearing at the time. He proposed, I waited for him through Ranger School, and we got married shortly after he completed. We were babies. I was 21, he was 22. His first duty station was on the other side of the country, and when we got there, it was all new people. He changed completely. What I had loved about him was the personality he picked up from hanging around other people I enjoyed. It wasn't him at all. He didn't want me to work, wouldn't live on post, wouldn't let me be involved. I was a stay-at-home wife. We didn't even have kids yet. But his first 6 months, I didn't have a car, no internet access, and we lived 30 miles from post. I was literally by myself all day. Did you get the woman an animal? No internet access. He was obsessed with the idea that I might cheat on him if I made new friends, expected dinner to be on the table when he got home, wouldn't even let me go to the bathroom by myself. He would follow me into the room, sit on the edge of the tub, and wait. What kind of Lifetime original bullshit? His first deployment was 16 months long. I moved home because I knew no one where we lived. Imagine that. He would call me twice a day, which if you're deployed is no easy feat. He expected a complete recap of every second of my day, but refused to talk about his time. All I had done was sleep for half of those phone calls, but he wanted me to carry on a one-sided conversation for him. Some of his fraternity brothers came to visit me one time, took me out to dinner. He called while we were eating and I put it on speaker. This was pre-FaceTime, so excited that he could talk to his buddies. He lost his shit screaming that he couldn't believe I was out with anyone, even though this was a group of his closest friends who had made me promise to check on me while he was gone. When he got home, he started drinking heavily, became more controlling, started verbally abusing me. He would hang out with his soldiers instead of with me, disappeared for days at a time. There were many occasions when I would have to physically fight his keys away from him because he wanted to drive drunk to who knows where. I was 5'6" and 120 pounds. He was easily twice my size. He volunteered for a second deployment against my wishes. 14 months this time. And when he returned, the control issues became impossible standards. Why did you put up with this? He accused me of cheating nonstop, would drag me to the bedroom and forcibly rape me if I wasn't receptive to his advances, and once broke a locked bedroom door down when I was trying to escape from him. And you just dealt with it. You just sat there. Y'all bitches got families that you could run to. You know what I mean? How many times do you have to get raped before you say enough? You know? This dude better have a gun taped on your ass like you're killing me. It happened by slow degrees. Okay, dude. Slow boil. Small changes, which went from an incredible relationship to an abusive one. I woke up one day, looked at my bruises in the mirror, and realized I didn't know or like who I was anymore. How could you? Volunteering for rape. You know what I mean? You can't rape the willing. You know, this guy's an asshole. I know you guys don't want to hear me say shit like that, but how many times you gotta rape a bitch? You know what I mean? Before she's just like, it's not like he had her straight chained. It's not like, I guess fear is a powerful thing when you're scared for your life or something, but it's not like she didn't have a phone and didn't have access to the, I don't know. Where do we start? Must be scary as hell for a military wife. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know what it's like to be a woman. During our divorce, he was sure to slander me to everyone who would listen. This is a boy you talking about. I was a lying, cheating whore and the worst wife imaginable. During our separation, I found out he had been cheating on me our entire relationship, sleeping with random women he picked up at bars. Yes, he was projecting. I didn't need to hear that to know that. Do you know what I mean? My emotional scars are a lot deeper than my physical ones. Whatever, you dumb hoe. You guys are going to think I'm a terrible fucking person for dealing with this kind of, you know what I mean, not being delicate or sweet with this, you know, stupid fucking broad. But like, how many times you got to get raped to take that opportunity as soon as you see it to fucking escape, dude? Because you're signing up for more of it. And it's not even just about reporting a motherfucker at this point, you know what I mean? Because he could get into a lot of trouble, a nigga in the military, you know what I'm talking about? He could get into a lot of trouble, stripped and all kind of shit like this. But you know, you're basically just setting up other women in the future for that kind of shit to happen to them because you're letting him get away with it. And when people get away with things, that's when they get more confident and they go out and they do bigger and bolder things because they got away with it in the past. They've been getting away with it. So what's going to stop them from doing that? I need to get through this list. Number 14, when you look at someone through rose-colored glasses, all the red just looks like flags. Hilarious. Hilarious, guys. Fucking tired of Reddit. This one doesn't even count. Am I supposed to go down to 21? 21. Even though it's, you know, supposed to be the one that I just read. That feeling in your gut, like a silent tug that something isn't right, but you ignore it because you so desperately want someone to love you and be in love. You know how many fish there are in the sea, assholes? Well, that feeling will eat away at you until it becomes too big to ignore. And the only choice left is to see how things really are. Not how you want them to be. Don't ignore your gut. Guys, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but if I were seeking a mate, do you know what I mean? Very, very, very badly. Like I was so desperate that I just needed someone and I was willing to just go for anyone. like in a capacity where, you know, it seems like a lot of people who are in relationships right now are just the types of people like, I know this relationship isn't working out and it isn't what I'm supposed to be and it's not right for me, but I just don't want to be alone. You know what I mean? If you're that scared of being alone, you know what I'm saying? What's stopping you from latching on to any nigga like sitting next to you at school or just happening to work with you at your stupid ass workplace? If it was me, I would literally find a game that I love the most, let's say Overwatch right now, and just play it for a day, going in and out of stupid ass game chats, going into like, you know, practice matches and stuff, trying to find plebs that suck and are like really fresh. And if I found like a female in there, you know what I mean, I would basically gather, I would say probably 10 to 20 females in the hobby of my choice. So say you like tennis, go out to a public park and play some tennis maybe and see if you could get some pickup game going on. You know what I mean? Say you're into bar scenes or whatever. No, not bar scenes. Say you're into dancing or you're into art. Go pursue your hobby specifically. You know what I mean? If you're a really nerdy dork type douchebag, be like me. Just get super excited about going to conventions. You can easily meet somebody at a convention that gets outside of their house as little as you do. Do you know what I mean? And then you guys can become best friends. Maybe things can move along. My point is this, dude. There's so many fish in the sea. Why stay in a relationship that you're unhappy in, that's not working out, that you don't see a future of? A lot of people are in relationships right now just because they in it right now to do something right now. But if they were to look into the future, they don't see nothing going on. You know what I mean? There's this character on American Dad named Reginald, and I think at one point he was talking about his girlfriend and he said, am I gonna marry her? No, but she don't need to know that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Number 13. He didn't necessarily change, but I woke up to an issue. His mother is overly involved. She wants to come stay weekends with us without warning. What? When he told her he had proposed, she told him he should have waited. She was bitchy at our wedding, and when we told her I was pregnant, she also said we should have waited. Oh, interesting. Okay. So basically, she was a negative opinion on us, or has a negative opinion on us. He is a mama's boy too, so I bet it hurts, but he won't admit it. I just wish she'd butt out. Butt out, yeah, give that mama's ass a throw. Somebody else says, I believe in my mother-in-law has Jocasta complex. I'm not looking that up. She has an unhealthy attachment to him, and it's only with him. Her relationship with her younger son is much healthier. Wow, she's got multiple sons, and she's got like weird, attachment to one kid. I can see if you're like a mom and you got an only child, and maybe you don't have a husband because you're a nightmare or something. But come on. What's all this about? Number 12. He was never really that into that sex. That's a really scary thing. That's a sentence that I just read. Let's read that again together, guys. He was never really that into sex. Wow. Is this post-op? You sure it wasn't a she? You know what I'm talking about? With his female ass. Anyway, he was never really that into sex. Even when we were first dating, he was okay if we had it, but okay if we didn't. Okay. And he almost never initiated. I put it down to his personality, very brainy, awkward, introverted, and some cultural issues. I figured we would learn together. After we had our second child, he indicated that we no longer needed to have sex. This sounds like a dream guy for a lot of women because they suddenly not interested in sex when the marriage hit. You know what I mean? Now that we had our allotment of children, like the whole thing had been such a burden to him. As it turns out, he really, really is not that all into sex. You think he was abused as a kid? You think he had some kind of traumatizing event? Cue at least 5 years of me freaking out, wondering what is wrong with me, wondering if it is shallow to consider leaving an otherwise ideal life over sex, out of physical neglect. You're telling me you approached this dude and he was rejecting you? It's one thing if he's not into sex and he doesn't initiate, but I can't imagine a girl popping open that mouth and getting down on that dude and not having an effect somehow. You know what I mean? Because you get down there, this thing's banging, this thing's plopping up, plop. It's up and ready to go. It's soldiering up. What are we gonna do about this? You know what I mean? Well, I guess I'll just sit on it, honey. You know what I mean? Happy Easter, guys. Wishing I was the kind of person who could cheat. Wow, what a thing to say. Him pulling at because he feels attacked, me suffering horrible self-esteem, loads of counseling. Oh my God. Yeah, he just doesn't like sex. It's all on him. It has nothing to do with me. I had let a lot of resentment go. Wow. After some pretty rough times, he is realizing that I still need to feel loved and is communicating his love to me in other ways. We have been through so much in 15 years, and I see this whole what the hell, dude? Everybody's like, he's not gay. He's gay. He's gay. Nigga, he gay. I want to send this girl a message and be like, look, you need somebody to really please you. I'm kidding. I ain't interested in that. My point is this, dude. A relationship is a two-way motherfucking street, dude. A relationship is a two-way street. This ain't like a relationship with your family members or your friends, homie. You know what I mean? You are with this person in a capacity where you getting married and y'all both got kids. Give and get. It's not always about you. You know what I mean? It's not about how much you like whatever. You know what I mean? Even if it's not about sex and you don't like it, this isn't about you. If your wife has reached a point where she is considering cheating and she's taking you out to counseling, something's wrong, bro. Holy crap. I figured it was just like within a man's spirit to want to fix something, right? So this is broken. This is a problem that the woman is presenting. And the immediate and easy fix is to service her, dude. And he's saying, oh no, well, I'm not about that. Like, drop this nigga. Drop this nigga. It's not just about the sex, in my opinion. It's the fact that he's like unwilling when it's clear that this is something, because the worst part is sex is a very scary thing to play hardball with, because like I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of fish in the sea and you could easily get this from somebody else. You know what I mean? You want your lady satisfied by some other nigga? That's not a man. There's no testosterone fucking around in that guy. If I was this lady, I would fill a syringe full of some bull, like, you know what I'm talking about, some shark ass testosterone, and just jack it up in this motherfucker, see what happened to him for a day. You know what I'm talking about? This is a female we talking about. This nigga gay. And if you out there and you don't like sex, you know, I have no problem with you. I respect that. But if you're with a woman who has sexual needs, who is definitely and most likely willing to do things for you, even if she doesn't like them, because that's how much you mean to her, you need to be willing to be that equivalent for her and do shit for her that you may not like. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say it like this, okay? I'm not a guy that likes to get down and eat a lot of box when it comes to ladies down there, you know? But I mean, even I would start to feel bad probably after like 6 blowjobs that I'm not getting down there. You know what I mean? Now, 6-to-1 ratio on blowjobs to eating out pussy, that's probably pretty unfair. But hey, it's better than nothing. So here's where I'm coming from. Okay? You can't not offer what you're receiving past a certain point. Be realistic, guys. How you gonna not fuck your wife? What? I'm sorry. Come at me in the comment section, but I do not feel like that is manly. And again, it's not specifically about the sex. Allow me to reiterate before you comment. You know what I'm talking about? It's about the fact that he was not willing to do this thing for his wife that she needed. So there's that. Number 11. I'm the kid of 2 fairly narcissistic people. The red flags I've learned to avoid from growing up in my house were blaming trivial things on each other, a need to physically attack or break something when angry, attention-seeking behavior, seen my father throw himself down the stairs and start chugging liquor just to get a reaction from my mom, especially if it's a I'm totally gonna kill myself unless you intervene moment, selfishness, like going out for food and never asking or offering anything to anyone else, drug abuse, not regular drug abuse, but drugs to cope with emotions that should normally be confronted, hiding money, on the flip side, needing to hide money because one person spends all of it leaving you high and dry come time to pay bills, prioritizing one's happiness over everyone else's. For example, planning every vacation around one person's likes and dislikes. This is a huge red flag, in my opinion. Total inability to take responsibility for anything. Literally everything bad is somebody else's fault. Inversely, taking credit for anything positive. Vindictive behavior. Can't count how many times I've seen my father break my mother's shit because he knew it would hurt her. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Saying things you don't mean with the specific intent of upsetting something. Treat someone. Something. People aren't objects, Kyle. Treating others like their only purpose is to entertain you. I basically grew up in a red flag factory. I feel bad for this guy, but something tells me he made it through. I had something to add here, but I've completely forgotten what it was. I think what I was going to get at was how I like to imagine that I can identify with a lot of the people listening to me, because, you know, maybe some people are interested by the topics that I'm covering, but, you know, I always bleed so much of myself into this shit that I would imagine that some people wouldn't even be able to stand getting through my videos if they weren't willing to listen to me for a little bit. So I like to think that you and I, even if we haven't spoken or you haven't left comments, have a little bit of something in common because we identify with one another. And one of the things that I want more than anything is just to be left the fuck alone. This hasn't been something that's changed for like as long back as I can fucking remember. So even if you're growing up in like the craziest space, even if you're finding yourself in the midst of people that consider themselves compatible with you or are trying to, I want to say, float into the domain of somebody that you might consider intimately or in a romantic capacity, like your leave me the fuck alone aura is so strong, unless you're trying to let somebody into that bubble, that you know, who could dream of penetrating it? I like to think that some people have to constantly question, some of the closest people to me have to constantly question whether or not they're permanent. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like a fault of my own. It's just like it's almost like a defense mechanism that I have developed over the years. It's just like this leave me the fuck alone mist that is about me in the traditional sense of the word. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something that we should own and, you know, be not proud of, but just, you know, accepting of. Because some people around you, and this is really sad in this one specifically because it's his parents, you know what I mean? He grew up in that kind of environment. How easy might it have been for him to adapt or adopt some of those, you know, traits, some of those negative traits, to have them manifest in his adult years and, you know, maybe have a negative impact on those around him, obviously, or worse, be something to emulate for other people in his life so that the cycle continues. It's just fucking terrible. But with people like you and me, I like to imagine you and I just want to be fucking left alone. You know what I'm talking about? Look, get me away from this shit. Okay, let me sit in my room, watch some YouTube videos, learn some shit. You know what I mean? Even if I don't have anybody to share that stuff with, you know what I mean? Just leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with that. And people will judge us. People will, you know, come at us like we're crazy, like we're the drinkers, like we're the shooting shit up and we smacking people and we going crazy. But the bottom line is they can set their bar and compare us to whoever the hell they want to. But that's them. And at the very least, we don't need other people through which to live. And that's not something that they can say. So I hope you're not giving yourself too hard a time. And I know that that may not be, you know, relevant to most people listening. But if it's relevant to at least one of you, then I'm glad I took the time to say it. Don't be your own worst enemy. Number 10. How you gonna put the too long didn't read at the top, my nigga? We had been together for 7 years and living together ever since his first round of surgeries before his cancer came back. After the first resection surgery, he recovered remarkably fast and had 0 side effects. After recovering, he even got a BS degree in civil engineering and was working towards his professional engineering license. I was in school on track for a PhD in the STEM field. Fast forward 6 years, and an annual MRI showed that the cancer was back. And my husband needed it to be removed ASAP. We rescheduled the surgery. to happen 2 months after we found out and had to come back. The next 19 months were pure chaos. The only recourse for this kind of cancer was through surgical resection due to its location on the brain stem. In a short 19-month time frame, in no particular order, my husband had 4 resection surgeries. 1 emergency surgery that rose from a complication from one of the resections, and 30 treatments of IMRT radiation. The radiation happened between resections 2 and 3. It was hell for him. He didn't help stop the cancer from growing, and my husband had 2 more resections and an emergency surgery after radiation was complete. During the time, I got pregnant and had a baby boy. Trying for a baby was a contingency plan if the cancer ever came back. We wanted kids, but we wanted to wait until we were graduated and settled into our careers. But if my husband needed more surgery, we agreed to try for a baby before surgery. We had 1 month to try, and we were totally surprised when we conceived. Our son gave my husband the strength to fight his cancer and the motivation to focus on his recovery. This is really fucking scary because I wrote in one of the tabs like someone cured cancer, not like as a real joke, but as like it's really killing everybody, dude. It's killing everybody. And like we couldn't even get through the list without a cancer story. After each surgery, the side effects got worse. Remember, I said he had 0 side effects when the cancer was first diagnosed and resected. Now that he was in his 30s rather than in his 20s, his recovery time was a lot slower. Between 5 surgeries and 30 treatments of radiation, I had to help my husband relearn how to walk and talk again. With inpatient and outpatient help, of course. As a matter of fact, our son and him learned to walk at the same time. I was emotionally happy and proud. It was an emotionally happy and proud time for us all. The last 2 resection surgeries left him with a side effect called an acquired brain injury. He also had several visual disabilities due to the surgeon disrupting the 3rd and 4th cranial nerves in an aggressive attempt to get all of the cancer out. My husband can no longer look up or down nor open his eyes. He must use his forehead muscles to be able to open his eyelids slightly. What hell? His pupils are different size dilations, and this damage is permanent. Oh, money can't solve these problems, but were they paid? Money can't solve these problems, but did they get some sort of compensation for negligence on the part of these doctors? The visual disabilities were a cakewalk as compared to the brain injury. The brain injury transformed my type A, empathetic, highly trained engineer of a husband into an angry child with absolutely no empathy and a lot of anger. It had been almost 2 years since he was formally diagnosed with a moderate brain injury, and he is an entirely different person now. He was different interests, different tastes in clothes, food, and requires so much sleep because of the damage to his brain. He didn't ask for this to happen. He just wanted to survive the cancer so he could be there for his son. As of today, he's made a lot of progress. He can function independently at home and is the caretaker of our 2.5-year-old son while I work to support us. Our roles have changed 180 degrees, and he still struggles with empathy. He is now permanently disabled due to his visual and cognitive disabilities from his brain injury. Most days are difficult because I'm still grieving the husband I once had. It's like a different person. However, just because it is difficult doesn't mean I'm giving up on him. We go to counseling, individual and marriage, and brain injury support groups. We attend a local church, which saved my sanity. I have single-handedly built a support network that is made up of my husband's medical doctors, our friends, our church family, and the few DNA family members and friends who have stuck around through this life challenge. The sad part is that my husband's entire family, brothers, mother, father, aunts, uncles, cousins, have ostracized us from the family. They have chosen to avoid and deny the situation because it is too difficult for them. That hurt a lot because my husband and I were very close to his DNA family for many years before the brain cancer came back. I am estranged from my family and have been for years, and his family knew that, so I was left alone to handle my husband's rehabilitation and long-term recovery. It was the hardest and darkest time of my life. I'm happy to say that our family of choice is better than that and better than what we had in our DNA family. I love my husband and I will always be there for them. I take my wedding vows seriously. He needs love and support, not avoidance and denial. He's made a lot of progress in the past couple of years and I'm proud of him. Most days are hard, but some days are good. I'm still getting to know the new husband of mine. We take life one day at a time, and things are finally looking up for us. There's a lot more to the situation, but I've already written a book. Hope someone will read this and be encouraged. We think we got it bad, you know? I don't know how old you are, I don't know where you are, I don't know what's going on in your life, but you hear some shit like that, you know? I hope it makes what you're going through just a little less terrible. My heart still goes out to Lexeus. Like his story telling me what he went through was just a nightmare. And all we can do is just hope that with how bad things get sometimes, that, you know, as bad as they are, that things will get that much better, you know? As low as we feel now, that maybe we'll feel equally as high by contrast. We'll be on the opposite end of the spectrum. Number 9. The bigger one for me was finding a condom wrapper in the trash when I picked up a shampoo bottle for reading material while taking a dump. It was only my fiance and I living there, and we don't use condoms. I was heartbroken when I confronted her later that day, and she told me that she found one while cleaning our adult drawer and wondered if she could put her foot in it. At the time, it seemed to be perfectly reasonable explanation, or I was just so afraid of the truth and heartbreak that I desperately wanted to believe something that wouldn't be painful. We married a year later, and after 5 months of marriage, I caught her in a web of lies that led to a coworker's house. Even after getting upset with her and telling her it was over, I had a change of heart and asked her to see a marriage counselor with me. She refused and left me for our coworker. I'm glad that she did, you fucking cuck. Ugh, drop these assholes cheating on you if they've done it once before and they're lying to you. They're willing to do it again. Idiot. People are so woefully mismatched, bending over for people who don't deserve it, you fucking cuck. Number 8, family relationships were a big one I missed. She had the type of family that was family no matter what. Didn't matter, everyone hated each other. Our Aunt Becky fucked bro-in-law, or Uncle Pervy had all the little girls sit in his lap, etc. They were all expected to be there on Sundays and the fighting would begin. Most fucked up thing I've ever seen. Ugh. I'm so sorry. Number 7, the biggest red flag was immediately after I proposed and she said, "Are you sure? Because I'm fucking crazy," then laughed. There is truth behind most humor. Later, she was diagnosed with PTSD, from a physical and mentally abusive relationship that she had gotten into shortly after her father died relatively young and unexpectedly. She has extensive professional experience caring for people with severe mental disorders, and in retrospect, I feel like she knew how to mask her symptoms well. For example, she let on that she was capable of setting healthy boundaries for herself and that she was emotionally strong and independent. I am attracted to both of those traits, who wouldn't be? But the opposites is true. While she isn't crazy, what does that really mean in any sort of constructive sense anyway? She masked or minimized a lot of issues she deals with at first, became dependent, and then physically aggressive and emotionally abusive towards me. After she physically restrained me and wouldn't let me leave her room until she was done screaming at me, I told her physical aggression was a big deal breaker and said if it gets physical again, it's over. She told me she would get physically aggressive again. She sounded almost proud of it, actually. She did. I stayed true to my word, and the divorce should be finalized next month. I'm proud of you. You gotta set boundaries for these hoes. Sometimes they need to know when to fucking submit, you know? Because if they aren't willing to do it for us, why the fuck should we do it for you? You know what I mean? Oh no, stop, don't rape me. You know what I mean? Is that harsh? Is it rude to say? Is it wrong? You know what I mean? This is a person that you're trying to spend the rest of your life with. It's not like we playing this girlfriend-boyfriend game at this point. I think marriage is stupid as fuck. But if I'm going to put a ring on your fucking finger and you're not going to submit occasionally, knowing that I love you and that I have your best interest at heart, and I would go out of my way to make it so that you don't come to harm because I'm protecting you, and you're refusing to submit to me as if I'm doing something that would, you know, endanger you, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I can't be doing shit for you when you're not going to do that shit for me. And that's why I'm outraged about this fuckboy faggot, no sex and his wife bullshit. Again, it's not about the sex. It's about the fact that you're not doing something for this person who's supposed to be doing something for you. Don't have a problem with people bending over backwards, but find somebody who'll do the same for you, guys. Number 6, okay? Same as the others. Immediate family relationships were overlooked/ignored. Her parents were gigantic enablers. Her parents didn't believe in counseling. Since her father was a drug representative, he was a drug rep. What does that mean? There was a pill for everything. Oh, okay. As soon as we had our first kid, stress and anxiety showed his face. She turned to Xanax and Ambien. She never learned any coping skills. I was 29 when we divorced. Okay. Number 5. Is it a red flag if I never skip these kinds of threads because I'm looking to see if I'm actually in a good relationship? Because I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I love this guy already. Somebody else says, I'm in a super happy long-term relationship, and I still like to look in the off chance something happens. I'll know how to address it before it becomes an issue. You won't know how to address shit. You'll be like the other cucks in this freaking list that see this thing coming a mile away, and then when it all goes wrong, you're still trying to fix it. And then when it goes wrong again beyond repair, you're still trying to fix it. You're still trying to bargain with this monster that doesn't care about you. They only care about themselves. But you're willing to do all of this stuff for them because you love them. And what are you going to do? Start over? Don't let the laziness and the comfort of you settling for a situation that is not best for you, I'm talking to you, overwhelm you. Don't fall into what you think is making sense because you're too scared to start over and think that nobody else will have you. You can find what you need if you're looking for it. Number 4, I loved him for who I thought he could be, not who he is. Well, ain't that the truth? Ain't that how a lot of relationships go? Number 3, this was the case with my parents. My mother didn't discover my father's mental problems until later. The why is that they got married way too fast, 2 months, and bipolar disorders have natural ups and downs. She had only seen the up. Textbook example of why you shouldn't marry unless you've been with the person for a while. I don't really say that stuff. The way I feel is you shouldn't be getting with a person in a living capacity unless you've lived with them for a while. You know what I mean? You guys need trial time together under a roof. You see what I'm saying? Because some people are nightmares. You know what I'm talking about? Some people are fucking nightmares, and they can hide that shit the way they've been hiding it their whole life with people, you know, that are around them in a friendly capacity, because you can't just be a nightmare 100% of the time, especially with friends. You know, they ain't related to you, nigga. They could just decide to throw their hands up and be like, why the fuck am I dealing with you? There's so many other people that are actually chill and reasonable. Why would I need to what? Bye. You know what I mean? But sometimes, you know, people gonna lie about who they are. You can't romanticize the idea of a person or what you want them to be, so much so that it throws who they actually are into the shadow. Because one day in your relationship, the sun is going to reach a point in the sky, to coin this analogy, where the shadow isn't where it used to be, and who they are is going to be very clear for you to see. A response to this thread says, oh damn, as a friend of a bipolar person, the ups are exhilarating. He turns into a really outgoing friend and is great, but you also got to be there for the downs, because that's what friends do. I hope you're doing okay. Hey, if you're bipolar and you're a girl with big titties, I'm kidding. I'm just gonna stop that. My sense of humor is just like not the type that certain people are in the mood for. If you're the type of person that gets really upset by some of the silly things that I say all the time, why don't you write about it in the comment section below? You know what I mean? I read all the comments and I really do get a kick out of some people's comments sometimes. And you people, you know who you are if you're writing comments that I don't get a kick out of. Because why you being unfunny in the damn comment section? Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Number 2. Yes, I ignored some pretty big red flags, and to this day, I am not sure why I went ahead with the marriage. The first thing that I thought of was ignoring the fact that he was texting this one girl and lying about it. The text didn't seem too crazy at first, but he would still lie and say things like, I wasn't texting her, or I just had a question about her work. Okay, then I also ignored when leading up to the wedding and him leaving for boot camp, he seemed to just not care anymore. He was already starting to get too big of a head because he had lost so much weight. Then on our wedding day, he ignored me pretty much the entire reception. His excuse was, I want to hang out with my friends because I am leaving for boot camp in 3 days. I should have just annulled the marriage right there, but I stuck around for another 1.5 years and it only got worse. I found girls' clothes in our room after visiting my family in our home state and then coming back to our apartment. He would tell me my opinions didn't matter because I was nothing but a civilian. Somebody been playing too much video games. You know what I mean? And sucking. I want to see this guy's KD. Ended after 1.5 years of marriage. He tells people that I left him because he was deploying and I didn't want to wait for him. 6 years later and I am much happier than I was then. I'm very happy for you. Number 1, guys, the pictures, to a reminder. Guys, what changed with the spouse after marriage? The pictures. We had to take 1 million fucking pictures of us doing stuff, any stuff. Everything was on social media with a picture. Every post was my Marine. Every conversation was about her being a Marine girlfriend, etc. It was all for show. I was a trophy. When we got married, she quit going to school and quit her paying job. When she'd meet people and they asked what she did, she said she was a military wife, etc. We divorced and she has a kid and everything is about being a mom. She just changed the situation as far as I can tell. I'm so sad that so many of these problematic relationships had things in common with, military backgrounds. Oh boy. Well, what can you do, man? What can you do? It's a pretty traumatizing thing. I just feel like some of the people who are actually deployed aren't going through some of that nitty-gritty hardcore shit that some of the people who are deployed go through, and they coming back just being an asshole. They're out there just banging people because they can, because they're in a situation where, like I said, most people will try to get away with what they can get away with. And you can just fuck ladies out there that you'll never see again. So they take that opportunity. Oh boy. Guys, I love you. I know this was a quick list. Didn't have much time, but I tried to make this happen. I'm also recording. No, I'm not recording. I'm trying to build a game in Unity. So wish me luck. I hope that goes well. I'm going to try to make a text game where, a question is asked and then there's 2 options and you can pick one of the options. And when you pick that option, it goes to another thing. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure type thing. But I want to lay my voice as a voiceover asking the questions as you go from one to another. So, figuring out how to get that done is going to be a roller coaster ride, but I'll make it happen. Love you guys. And if you're okay, I'm glad. If you're not, let me know if I can help. And hopefully I'll see you today. Happy Easter. Take it easy.